This is episode 12 of the Rink Podcast, and today the spotlight swings to Ottawa, a team with big decisions, big swings, and a future that could go in a dozen directions. We're breaking down the signings, the trades, the draft, and the long term vision that's starting to take shape. Our Canadian team breakdown series begins right now. To stay up to date and catch the rest, go and follow the Rink on social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook. Or if you're watching on YouTube, scan that QR code, which links all socials. Please continue to like and download the podcast on all major platforms to keep the content rolling. It is greatly appreciated. I am Dante. They are Jordan and Donnie. And how are you guys doing tonight, Jordan?
I'm good.
Donnie,
getting
how
into
about you?
the World Cup.
Oh, yeah, World Cup. Donnie?
Hey. It's a good Friday night. Good time to record a pod.
Yeah, you just came back from the Bomber game. Big win.
Yeah, it was a loud one.
Was it sold out again?
No, there were 200 tickets short.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Doesn't that break the... what was the streak?
No, this was a Toronto home game because of the World Cup. So the Bombers wore white jerseys and Toronto wore blue.
Oh, but it was just in Winnipeg?
It was a Toronto home game, so I don't know if it technically breaks the streak or not.
I don't think that counts, actually. That should not.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool. I didn't know that, but that's cool.
That's the most CFL
the Lions,
I've ever heard.
The Lions, they were also playing in Kelowna over the last few weeks because of TD Place in Vancouver being used as well.
For that, really, eh?
Yeah.
This is so CFL, bro. Like,
so CFL thing ever. All right, well, let's we're today, like I mentioned, we're doing a bunch of Canadian teams where we'll break down each individual Canadian team. We're going to start off with Ottawa just because they've made the most noise so far. Unless things change, we're probably going to double up with Vancouver and Edmonton because they haven't really done anything. Jordan is Calgary, me and Dottie are Montreal, and then we're all from Winnipeg, so we'll keep those as individual episodes. So let's start off with the big blockbuster here for Ottawa is the Brady Tkachuk trade. Tkachuk goes to the Florida Panthers for 3 first and a second round pick. There's been lots of talks about, did he want out? Did his team push? Well, when it first came out, everyone knew, okay, Brady wanted out. He wanted to go be somewhere else. Gave another little short list of teams to go to. But then as more info came out, Don, you were sending us a bunch of stuff about how his teammates weren't exactly the happiest with him. So now I kind of look at this as, was he pushed out or did he want out? Donnie, let's start with you and your thoughts.
Well, first of all, I just think Brady Tkachuk's a pretty huge pussy for leaving Ottawa.
I was waiting for this. Here we go.
Starting it off hot.
Baby. Let's go.
The way that playoff round against Carolina ended and his performance in that series. And then I think, let's say a tweet came out saying Brady Tkachuk got traded without a destination on it. I think 99% of people would jump right to fucking Florida being the team he got traded to. Right? Wow. Jumping on the coattails of his brother, trying to join a team that's already won back-to-back cups in recent years. I don't know if you guys heard the ESPN interview. I think he was on Pat McAfee on the ESPN.
I saw the Pat McAfee thing.
And they're talking about the Brady Tkachuk trade, and Matthew Tkachuk's answering every question. He's just a little bitch sitting in the corner, letting his brother talk for him. Yeah, pretty much. So I don't respect this player. I think Ottawa got a pretty good haul in terms of draft picks that they've already started to flip and get a few other pieces back. The first number 9 overall pick they flipped for William Eklund. The 25th they used, and then they have a 29 and 30, which I know are a few years out, but could be good pieces to kind of continue to build their team. I think Ottawa was put in a tough situation here. I think a lot of it hasn't fully came out yet if Brady formally asked for a trade or not.
Yeah.
But I think they could have done a lot worse on this return, getting 3 firsts and a second back.
100%.
Yeah, Dante, to answer your question, I think it's a little bit of A, a little bit of B. I think he probably wanted out. He wasn't committal to the team. End of season, he didn't go home with the team. I understand he had a new kid at home, but still he didn't fly back with the team. That's a little bit awkward, a little bit weird. Then probably I heard in his closeout closeout meetings with Staios there, he wasn't really committing to staying in Ottawa long term. And I think also probably with the meetings with other players that the other players were saying, like, we're okay if he's not here. Like, I don't think he adds much. Like, Agent 007, 0 goals, 0 assists, 7 penalty minutes in the playoffs. It's
just
clutch
brutal
up
too.
right there. Let's go.
Yeah. And like, sorry, just like you guys were saying, the talk about how his team wanted him out and everything like that. Like, do we toss him up there as one of the worst captains then, probably, for a franchise that we've seen in the recent years, at least? Like, I don't know Ottawa very well, so I don't know if he did any impact within his community in Ottawa or anything like that. But you definitely don't hear about it if he did. Like, whereas you hear about it for other players.
He's not a captain. He's not a captain at all. Like, he does stuff on the ice that is captain material. Stand up for teammates with fights, lays the body, goes into the hard areas. But you watch him in that playoff series. What did he do to spark the team? He decided to selfishly start a fight with Jordan Staal off the opening faceoff. Lost. Didn't do anything for his team. He did that to get the spotlight on him. Opening draw, right? Then he goes on throughout the series, is pretty much invisible. You don't see him, doing anything in front of the net, trying to get his team going. And then what he does do is skate by one of the Canes players and spears them in the middle of the game and gets a penalty. That's not captain material. That's not what your captain.
He didn't do anything for his team.
Your team.
I think him getting the C when he did was just a matter of Ottawa looking at their roster and saying who's our most impactful player at this time. It happened to be Brady Tkachuk. I think even going into last year, if you looked at other options, players they're looking at, they have Tim Stützle. I think Jake Sanderson's arguably their most important player. He could be very much getting the C here with Brady Tkachuk gone. But even to your point there, Dante, going back about his teammates, it has been reported that some of his teammates were not happy with that Brady and Matt podcast and Brady going on there all the time and talking about in-season discussions and teammate interactions, things like that. I think we all saw that clip with Keith Tkachuk, Brady, Matt indirectly talking about what's his face? Yeah, Linus Ullmark and the time off he took for his mental health. And Keith Tkachuk actively joking about that during the season. I just think it's all very bad taste and I understand where social media is going and these players wanting to create a platform for themselves to be bigger stars and create more money and sponsorship opportunities. But I think Ottawa cut ties at the right time here. They moved him on to Florida. He's going to be more of a complementary piece in Florida. He's not the most important piece there. He'll play kind of middle six winger, go kind of bash guys around and try to win a cup. But for good riddance, if I'm a Senators fan, I'm glad he's gone. Right.
I think most Senators fans believe that right now, too. I do think he'll have a pretty decent impact with Florida. If you look at what Florida did this offseason, they got bigger, they got badder, and they got scarier, in my opinion, too. Like, everyone, we can all look at how they sucked last year, but you can really toss that up to key injuries. Like, when Barkov's gone, that's a massive loss for that team there. And Lundell did a great job stepping in. But now you're going to have Lundell as your second. You got Barkov back. You're going to have probably, I would assume, both Brady and Matthew play together on a line at least to start the year, and I'm assuming it's probably going to be with Lundell on the second line, maybe the first. What do you guys think? Like, I think he probably matches up better with Lundell, but then I don't know who Florida really plays on the top line.
Either Lundell or they just start him with Bennett just to see what kind of chaos.
Or Bennett too. That'd be that'd be an asshole line, man. Like, it's one of those lines you'll have to deal with because they will be a thorn in your side the whole game. Go ahead, John.
I think with Florida, Lundell's going to stay with Listerainen and Marchand, keep that line together.
I forget to say Marchand.
Yeah, then you probably have both Tkachuk's and Bennett, I think, as your second line with Barkov and Reinhart and who am I missing here on their top line though? Yeah,
like they're very stacked to say. Yeah. Like even if Brady's playing on the third, I mean, it's not going to be a true third line with the skill and talent they have in Florida. But I do think he'll have some kind of impact on Florida. But like Donnie said, I'm sure Ottawa fans are just like, whatever. We'll talk more about what they got back for him. But just quickly, like Donnie said, you've been very vocal about how you hate this, how he went out. And I think everyone's been pretty vocal about how we hate how he went out. Like, you're stuck with Ottawa for so long, and then you finally get a taste of the playoffs again, and you do nothing in the playoffs, and then you just leave your team. It's such a dirt brag move. And I know a lot of people were like, well, Quinn Hughes left his team too. But, I mean, you cannot compare them, in my opinion, whatsoever. You look at Quinn Hughes, you look at the Vancouver's inability of putting up a consistent competitive roster. You look at the whole JT Miller and Pedersen huge issue that was going on over there. And the Quinn Hughes and the Vancouver Canucks, they had 2 playoff appearances in 6.5 years together there, and they were unable to put anything together for him. When a player leaves on those terms, in my opinion, it's like when we're looking at Connor McDavid right now. You've given your team so many opportunities to address what you need, and you haven't done anything. Whereas Brady, on the other hand, was on a rebuilding team that's been rebuilding pretty decently for the last little bit, adding great talent, starting to find their own now, they've always been that middle team for a long time. They're starting to give a little push now, and then he just does nothing and dips out.
Yeah, and gaining momentum, right? Like that first round against Carolina, like sure it was a sweep, but like those games were tight. They were physical. I think if you ask Carolina, like I think Ottawa might be up there in terms of 1 or 2 on their tougher playoff series from that cup run, right? And Carolina obviously went on to win the cup here, but this team was kind of building with fire. We saw the streak they went on going into the end of the regular season, making the playoffs. I don't think anyone wanted to play the Ottawa Senators in round 1. Carolina just kind of drew a good card and found a way to win some tight games and got it done in 4. But yeah, like Ottawa, they're continuing to build, and this trade of your captain and your so-called cornerstone elite player, like
it's a joke.
Trading them specifically for draft picks is a major step back for a team trying to build.
Right.
And we'll talk about the moves that these picks flipped into later on. But if you're Steve Staios and Brady came to you and was like, I'm not re-signing, it puts the GM in a corner, right? And really puts them in a tough spot.
And I am going to dive into their Staios. Like, I want to give him some props here too, because he's put in a tough spot, but he was aggressive. He used that thing right away and went after William Eklund. He got 2 other smaller pieces that aren't really much in this trade, in my opinion, but he gave up his 9th overall pick basically for William Eklund, which when you're looking at the whole situation he was given, I don't mind per se. Like, I don't know what you guys think. He still has, like Donnie mentioned, he drafted with the other pick, and they still have 2 more coming up in the future here. So Jordan, what do you think of this trade? Like, do you think Staios should have just, like, in your opinion, should he kept them and just continue to draft, or do you think this is a smart move to go on with?
No, I like this. Like their window still is open, right? They still got guys there that keep this window open if they can transition properly, and I think Eklund is a good step in that direction. Ultimately, I think Eklund still has some grittiness to his game and isn't afraid to grind. He's not going to go out there and fight guys for teammates like Brady or lay a bunch of hits, but he definitely still has some grittiness to his game, and he's higher skill. He's definitely has more pure skill than Brady Tkachuk, and I think probably a better goal scorer, which I think will probably pair with Jimmy Stu a little bit better. And
I agree. I think he does way better.
Maybe have a better match for him.
Johnny?
Yeah. Like you're obviously getting quite a bit of a different player in Eklund, like a little bit undersized, like Jordan said, plays bigger than he is. But you're getting a pretty dynamic, high IQ playmaking winger to put with Jimmy Stützle. I think we also had that goal last year he scored, which was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Spinorama knocking it out of midway. I think it was against Boston. But yeah, it was pretty evident with the pieces San Jose was building that Eklund was kind of on the outside looking in that top 6. And yeah, I think it's a good case of flipping a future asset. Sure, the number 9 overall pick is high value, and you'd be able to get a really good prospect there. I think it was Keaton Verhoff got picked with that pick, which was unbelievable by San Jose. But you're getting a forward that's going to contribute to your team this year. Be able to plug in on your top line and really try to get going and filling that hole that Tkachuk left, right? So I give this one about maybe like a B+ for Ottawa.
Yeah, I agree.
Of the trade.
I actually really like this move too. for multiple reasons. Like you said, it was Keaton Verhoff that got drafted with this pick. And if Ottawa was in this position with number 9, I'm not 100% sure they go with defensemen. They might have, just because it's Keaton Verhoff was sitting there in front of them. So they might have. But looking at the team, that's not the first way that they would be looking at, which makes me believe that they might have gone off and gone like a Wyatt Cullen or Oscar Hemming or something like that, which then you compare to William Eklund. Right? Yeah, which would have been a reach. But then you compare it to William Eklund, who, in my opinion, would have been a great pick to get at 9. I really like Eklund. Like you guys said, he's a different style player, but I almost think he better pairs with Stützle than Tkachuk did. I think he almost, that line, everyone's going to ask, is that first line worse or not? Is it more or less dangerous? I think it's your perspective on it. I think that line is the same, not worse, but I also think that they're less dangerous in a physical form without having Brady Tkachuk's power forward style on there. But I think they might be a little bit more dangerous with the fact that Stützle, if he stays on his feet and stops diving every 10 seconds, is a very good high offensive player to play with Eklund now too. So it really shapes up on how you look at it. Like Donnie and Jordan are saying, just two completely different players. But I really like this for Eklund, or for Ottawa.
The other thing about it is, if they were to keep that number 9 pick, they're not getting a player that's playing for them this next year. Like, no, it's just, none of these guys are going to be able to step into the NHL this next season, and they're looking for something to build on to continue trying to, get into the playoffs, and hopefully for them take the next step and kind of go on a bit of a run maybe next year, right?
And I think that's why Staios added Burakovsky with a 6th rounder as well. Burakovsky, we all know he's not exactly what he used to be anymore, but if you do need to plug and play a player up in a position that's a hole now, he would be a type of guy that can kind of move over your lineup. He still has some offensive side to him. He's not what he was, but at the end of the day, I think Staios flipped these assets as best as he could with what he was given in a short time frame. Who knows how this all panned out too? Like we all watched the draft together, and before, everyone kind of was talking about how San Jose was looking to make splashes, looking to make moves, add all that kind of stuff, right? So this could have just fallen right into his lap, and it turned out pretty well for him.
Did you guys find it insanely weird this year how watered down these like top 10 picks in this draft were in terms of trade value? Pick 9 for William Eklund, Bowen Byram getting pick 4. I think we were all pretty shocked at that pick being moved. It just felt like a year where teams were totally willing to move these picks, and they weren't locked into prospects as hard as they would have been.
It seemed like some teams weren't, and then some teams, like the Jets, for example, were just like jaw struck that they had Vigo Bjork fall right into their lap, right? Like I think that was kind of what Winnipeg wanted this entire time, which is what they were trying to get up to pick 4 was to secure that player, and they kind of just dropped to him. But I agree, like
we just never see that movement, right?
You never really see that movement. I think there's like the top two picks, everyone knew what they were going to be, and it was going to be a crapshoot after with how many defensemen were actually available. And even then, the defenseman that kind of went off the board first, I was shocked at. Like, what's his name? Rudolph going so high and dropping to where he dropped to was not on my fucking top 10 guess at all. You know what I mean? So I think once people started to move too, Donnie, it just threw everything out the window. They were just like, okay, we're going for our guys. If our guys aren't there, let's look at moving whatever it is, kind of thing.
To your point, Donnie, I think the weirdest part about all the movement in these top picks for this year especially was it was seen as a pretty high-end, good talent draft, right? Like, there was picks all the way through 15 where people thought you could get legitimate NHL players pretty quickly here. So, yeah, for the movement to be like it was this year, with it being considered a good draft and not a weaker one, was the surprising part to me.
And now, just one more comment on that. Now, what I think that really contributed to that was the weak free agency classes here.
Yeah,
we heard it very over going into free agency. We were like, if teams want to really improve their rosters in meaningful locations, positions in their roster, they have to trade for guys, right? We saw Bowen Byram get traded for a top pick, get signed to a massive deal. William Eklund trade, right? A lot more trades happening throughout the league with the free agency pool being weaker than previous years.
No, I agree. And so speaking about that free agency pool, so Staios as well, he was relatively quiet, but most teams were, like you said, it was relatively a weak free agent pool, but he did get some depth veterans. I believe he got Cousins was already on the team. I believe he just re-signed them to an extension, which I do like. Former Hab there. I like Cousins and his style there. Harrison to a 2-year deal, and then some minor contracts. Or do you guys think they're bottom six? Sammy Blais, who was with Montreal this past year, always with a couple teams this year because he kept going through waivers a couple times. Philip Tomasino, who was a really highly touted prospect that just hasn't really connected at all, and then Ryan Suzuki. Jordan, let's start with you. Do you think like these are more minor contracts for their minor league, or do you think that Staios is trying to take high possibility or probability players as well that could push for a roster spot and fill out his bottom six?
I think it's a few guys that kind of haven't found their footing or home in the NHL. Maybe haven't found a system that works for them, a coach that really believes in them, gives them a shot. Like Sammy Blais had like lots of hype around him when he was coming up, that people thought he would be a legitimate, second line type player. Has never really developed into that, seen that. You haven't seen that on the ice, but it's a good gamble to take, because if you can bring him in and he can, give you fourth line, even third line minutes, and, really finds a home there in Ottawa, why would you not take a shot like that? And I think that's kind of with all three of these guys. You're just like hoping that they can come into Ottawa and find their footing, because a lot of them had a little bit of hype around them that they should be NHLers at some point in their careers. So see, why couldn't they do it with you, right?
Yeah. Sammy Blais was great in Montreal last year.
I like Sammy Blais.
He had a handful of games, but he scored some pretty clutch goals. And like you're saying, the physicality and forecheck he plays with, I have no doubt he could play in Ottawa's fourth line next year. I think they only signed Ryan Suzuki because he's the brother of the Habs captain. Unfortunately, little brother syndrome, Nick. Literally little brother syndrome is that signing. But another one, and then the other one I want to comment on, Samuel Ersson. I think they're going to go with Ersson, and is it Marilainen is the other backup they currently have? Those two guys, they need better secondary goaltenders out of those two. Ullmark struggled throughout the year. We know the break he took, kind of load management, etc. If they can get a quality backup out of Ersson this year that can play 20 games, 25 games,
which I think he can,
then that's a huge signing. And then the other one we didn't talk about, which was later, was them re-signing Claude Giroux as well. Yeah. So they brought Claude Giroux back, huge locker room presence. There was rumors he was maybe going back to Philadelphia.
Well, it wasn't real rumors. It was just David Pagnotta
reporting it and
bullshit.
Then walking it back. Yeah. But that's a major win for Ottawa as well. I think like he's going to be able to contribute in the face-off circle. Power play guy, might be getting older in age, but definitely an impact player in your middle six still. So,
100%.
Giroux's a good keep for them for sure. Has that leadership, has that great face-off ability. Is a good match for that dressing room. Kind of knows what he's doing in there, right? They've been comfortable with him. To your point, Donnie, Ottawa's really struggled to find goaltending behind Ullmark. I think it really took a toll on Ullmark this past year. You kind of saw it, like you said, with the mental health breaks and stuff he had to take. They need to find a guy, two guys, three guys, whatever it takes to, be able to rely on a few guys to play for you and actually get you wins, and not that you're putting in, and if you allow 10 shots, you're giving up 6 goals, right? Like, well, they've found nothing so far at the backup position, and they really that's their next step to be an actual consistent regular season team, is finding that backup goaltender.
And I think Harrison is the safe signing that they went with just to secure it. I actually don't think Ottawa will be done yet. I still think they explore the goaltender market. There are tons of goalies names out there. Well, maybe not him, but there's tons of goalies names out there that like need to move that haven't moved yet. And the one that I think about is, if they give up the assets, Montembeault needs to be moved by the Montreal Canadiens. If Ottawa is willing to give up the draft pick, as well as Montreal doesn't want to trade Montembeault to Ottawa. If you don't have anything else on the table, you're not rolling back with Montembeault next season. His time in Montreal is done.
Save that for the Habs pod.
This isn't a Habs podcast, but I'm telling you, Montembeault's not going anywhere. They're keeping him.
Well, we'll talk more about where Monty's going, but I'm just saying, for examples, Ottawa does have other goaltender examples or options out there than Ersson. I just think Ersson's the safe pick just to make sure they got the signing done kind of thing. Just like how I think the same thing for Stuart Skinner in Winnipeg. It's a backup just in case he does move. You know what I mean? Continuing on here, with Staios' offseason. So far, like we talked about, he's been dealt a pretty shitty hand, but he's making do with it. And I still don't think they've stepped back that much. Then you look at their drafting here. We're only going to talk, obviously, about the first round picks here. We may not have a lot on them, but we're just going to go over here. Past draft regimes always prioritize the safe, hardworking bottom six types a lot with these types of picks, just to be on the safer side. This year, Staios was more aggressive, and he went for a raw ceiling of players that, they have high ceiling and upside, but they can also be just complete busts that you never hear about. We're going to talk about first, I'm going to butcher his name, but Jonas Lagerberg-Hohen. This guy tore his ACL after scoring 9 goals in 9 games. He's got pretty decent stats up until that point. He's not overall big. He's 6'2". He's got a 185. He's got to put on some weight, obviously, but all these guys do. His draft profile shows him as NHL level shot, dynamic rush abilities, high danger creator with power forward potential, which is kind of, they got rid of Brady, so this might be what they're trying to be looking for. The only negative aspect of is what's the injury going to hold back to? Jordan, what do you think? We talked about it briefly a little bit before about that ACL injury.
So first of all, I'm going to touch on the safe drafting. I think that's a horrible way to go about business.
Agreed.
The Flames did this for years and years under Treliving, and we never had anything in our system because no one turned out to be a middle six, bottom six player when you're drafting after 10. Like, it just doesn't happen. You only hit if you swing for the fences. Right? How many times do you have so many draft picks? How many of them are never going to turn into anything? You have to swing for the fences. That's why I like these picks. I think they did a good job of really taking gambles on guys that they think could, take that next step. Like you're saying, this Jonas Langberg-Hohen, his big knock is his ACL injury.
Yep.
To me, nowadays, ACL injury, as long as it's a clean ACL, isn't something to be really worried about. They happen so much in sports nowadays, sadly. There's just a lot of pressure on the knees, and these, athletes have to go through that. As long as it's a clean ACL and there's nothing else around there that's really all buggered up and it's a really complicated surgery that he's coming back from, I love the gamble on someone like this. And I honestly think that I'm surprised he got to the 25th pick.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams were nervous about that ACL injury. He is 19 years old. I think at 19 turning 20, so he's also the older age bracket of what you could draft here. But I think what scared a lot of people away is just that injury. But like you said, you look at everything else he's done up until this point. He shows very good promise with puck handling, back checking. You could teach he struggles in the defensive zone, but most prospects do coming out of these junior leagues. You can teach that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But defenses you want to.
Yeah.
Donnie, what do you want to add?
Just looking at the players around him, I'm a little bit, like you're saying, picking a player that tore his ACL only had 11 games in the season of his draft year. Like, there were some players that slipped with the same kind of profile of player as him. Marcus Nordmark is another Swede, almost exact same build, exact same play style, who actually played a full season and put up points in Djurgården of the Swedish top league. And then another one was this Ryan Rubrek, who was projected to be a first-round pick in the OHL last year, that put up almost a point per game as a 6'4" power forward. I'm not the biggest fan of taking this type of project with a first-round pick. Like, if you're in the second round and someone's sliding because of like a significant injury that you have confidence in based on your scouting, like second, third round picks, I think, are fine for that kind of thing. But I guess late first is basically an early second at this point. And I don't know. We'll see what this guy can turn into.
Like, I agree with that. And I would say, like, Ottawa's got 2 first round picks here. So maybe you do take a player like this with one of them. But that means your other one's usually more of a safer pick. Whereas Ottawa, on the other hand, went with their 32nd overall pick, Jackson Cover, who is an incredible athlete, but the This guy didn't play ice hockey till he had a weird path to the NHL. He hadn't played hockey till he was 13 years old. He's also a similar size as well. He has a very fascinating background with where he came from. He's from Cayman Islands, I believe. Donnie, I think you mentioned that before too.
Yep.
People, once again, his draft card shows him as elite skating, playmaking, transition driver, skill at pace, all those kind of nice things you like to hear. But then his flaws, on the other hand, is strength, balance, and risky decision making. And you also got to wonder too. Sure, these kids, when they get to the NHL level, the training and all that kind of stuff's at a whole different level. But his balance on skates, it's been a long time him playing, but it's only been since 13 years old he's been on skates. So you wonder if the balance and the strength is not just at the same level as everyone else is going to be, and he may take more time to get there. So I do agree with you, Donnie, and what you were saying. Like, if you're gonna stretch for one of your picks here and out of the first two, usually I would assume your second one's more safe, kind of thing. But they kind of went off the rails of both of their picks, which is kind of what Staios's thing was this year: high upside skill over safe player roles, kind of thing.
Yeah, I disagree with you guys. If I'm picking after 20 in the first round, I'm swinging for the fences. I don't care if I have one pick or three picks. I'm just swinging for the fences. See if you can hit a home run with any of these guys. This guy right here didn't start playing hockey till he was 13, but was playing roller hockey and ball hockey before transitioning into ice hockey. Ed Jovanovski didn't start playing ice hockey till he was 12 years old. So
no, I'm just kidding.
There is a profile where people, like, players have still been successful when they don't start playing till later. You have to be a very good athlete. It seems like he is. But yeah, it's taking to the skating. There's obviously going to be a lot of work there. You're not seeing him in next year. It's a 5.
No, he's a project player.
Yeah, and he's gonna have serious AHL time before getting a shot in the NHL and stuff. But see if it works out.
Yeah, I think, Jordan, you didn't start playing hockey till you were 27, but you still try every day there. So
I don't think what I do is called playing hockey. I think it's just standing on the ice.
At least you can stand on the ice. I can't even do that. I'll just fall over.
Do you guys think it would have been worth Ottawa going for the Ruck brothers with these two picks?
Yes.
Would that have been 100%. More impactful than what they did?
I'm surprised they didn't, to be honest.
It would have been intriguing. They had them there. I think you take the first one. This one's 7 picks later. Why not?
I don't know why they didn't. I thought for sure they would have, but at the end of the day, this is what they kind of wanted to go for. I think the Ruck brothers would have been a better option. But
yeah, I agree. I'm a big believer in those twins if you could get them together, which Pittsburgh did. And where Ottawa's set up, I think they had actually a perfect opportunity to do that. And that's probably the route I personally would have wanted to go and try to take, but they obviously didn't.
Makes sense. Let's move on. Donnie, you kind of touched about this towards the beginning there. Brady's gone. They need a captain now here in Ottawa, or do they not? Some teams do choose to go the 3 alternate route for a while until that player type of emerges. So we're just going to go down the list here. There's lots of options. In my opinion, the easy answer for me, in my opinion, is Thomas Chabot. I would be going with him, but some, like Donnie said, you sign Giroux. Do you maybe give Giroux the seat until he goes, and then you give it to the next generation? Or is it a Sanderson or Stutz? I hope it's not Stutz, so the guy dives way too much. But Jordan, let's go with you first. If you're the owner and the coach, who's your captain next year?
I think they go no captain this year, honestly. I think you go with a few assistants. I think Giroux is going to be an assistant. Everyone kind of knows that he's your captain. It's hard to put a C on a guy for a 1 year season and then have to find a new captain right after. A lot of teams don't like doing that. You kind of like to put a C on a guy that's going to be there for a while. So I just don't see them throwing in a C on anyone. There'll be a bunch of A's across the board, and Giroux will ultimately, I think, be seen in the room as the captain just without wearing a C. I think if they were to name a captain, I think Donnie kind of nailed it on the head earlier with Sanderson. The only thing that scares me about that for a Canadian team is it's an American player, and a lot of these American players are pushing their way out of Canada. So do you want to name an American player your captain? Maybe he is deserving, but do you want to put him in that position for him to, in a few years, say, I don't want to play in Canada anymore, trade me to the States?
Yeah, I think they go with an A rotation this year as well. I think Claude Giroux only has like 1 or 2 years left. So, like the Jordan said, I think he kind of acting captain in terms of the room.
Yeah.
And then Jake Sanderson, I think he's the biggest building block for this team. He's the most important, impactful player. Stützle is also an option. I think he always might get an A all the time, but we're probably 4 or 5 years away from Sanderson being in the last year of his deal, and then they'll probably just trade him to Florida for 3 firsts and a second-round pick, and move on and try to draft another captain with those picks.
Yeah, Jesus, I'm going. Like I said, I'm going with Thomas Chabot. And I still, you guys are talking about Sanderson too. I would put it on Sanderson as well. I don't care if they're American or Canadian. The percentage of American players trying to leave their teams right now is still minuscule compared to what's going on in the league. It's a very select few. And let's be honest here, Brady doesn't exactly have the biggest brain to be worthy of being one of these guys that are Americans pushing their way out. And in all honesty, I don't even want to give him the focus on it was him that did this. I'm going to put it on, no, the team was pushing this guy out. I think his overall leadership was awful, and the team, on the other hand, was looking at getting rid of this guy. I don't want him to be known as I pushed my way out of Ottawa. He doesn't deserve that, in my opinion.
I think that's also why they probably go with the 3 A's, right? They rushed Brady into the captaincy role at a young age and picked that. And I think over time they and everyone's kind of saw that he probably wasn't a captain. He's not captain material. And I think to try to avoid making that mistake again, they probably go with a rotation and see where it goes.
Like Donnie said, the C was strapped onto this guy's chest because who the hell else was it going to be put on at that point in time? You know what I mean? But even after that first year, everyone kind of saw this guy's not a captain. The guy can barely put a freaking sentence together. So it'll be interesting.
There's also a lot of guys we're not really talking about that. Like, I look at Ottawa's forward group, and they have some really solid, still relatively younger players in it, but I don't know how much more growth you're going to see from some of these guys. Specifically, I'm looking at like a Dylan Cousins. Like, he's maybe a second-line center at his peak, good shutdown kind of two-way defensive guy you can rely on. Drake Batherson and Shane Pinto.
Pinto parlay, baby.
Pinto has had injury histories in the past. He's currently slotted in as their third-line center behind Stützle and Cousins.
And I like him in that position. I think that's where Pinto's ceiling is. Like you're saying, I agree. Him and Cousins, I think those are your ceilings for those players.
Yeah, Batherson right now is like a second-line winger, which fun fact on him. I was going to save it till the end, but I'll say it now. He's the first player in NHL history to play 8 NHL seasons, and every year one to the next improve in point totals.
Really?
If you go through his seasons in the NHL, first season in the NHL, he had 9 points, then 10, 34, 44, 62, 66, 68, 71.
So next year, 72, baby. Here we go.
If he keeps that streak going, he's going to improve, I guess. But
this guy might be the best player. If he plays 15 years, this guy might be the best player to ever lace up skates.
Yeah. But my point is this team, like, they have some really good, talented players in that middle six, but I think they're almost at their cap. And what you're seeing is what you're going to get for some of these guys. I'm not sure how much more improvement you're going to see. One guy I really like, who's kind of Brad Marchand light, is Ridley Gregg.
Yeah.
I've seen it in the playoffs, getting under the Leafs skin.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, that guy, like, if he can turn into a player, a 50, 60-point winger that can just be held to play against in the playoffs, that's the exact type of player you want to keep with this core. But yeah.
It all comes down to this, a best-of-7 battle, and DraftKings has you covered every step of the way. The DraftKings Sports app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets. Sweat every shift of the series, all in one place with one app. New DraftKings customers sign up with code THPN. Spend $5 to get $200 in rewards within 21 days. That's code THPN. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Bet with DK Sportsbook Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, that text passthrough may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Void in Ontario. Event contract trading with DraftKings predictions involves risk of loss. Sportsbook bonus bets expire in 7 days. $50 in predictions dollars issued weekly for 3 weeks, expire in 1 year. Team 1 non-withdrawable reward. Availability varies. Predictions offer void in New York. Ends June 28th. Terms at dkng.co/audio.
Yep, like we said over this whole podcast, and you saw that from the Ottawa fans, is that they weren't too butthurt exactly about this whole Brady situation. The Ottawa Senators are still, in my opinion, the same situation they were in last year. They're still a middle team that has the upside of playoffs, but could easily miss. That's where I still see them sitting. I don't see anything changing right now. In the future, though, it could change. I do like the Eklund thing. I think he can develop into something pretty spectacular. Correct me if I'm wrong. Zetterlund, isn't he still pretty young on that team too? Or am I thinking someone else?
26.
I think. Okay, so he's in middle age there. And then Dylan Cousins and Batherson are honestly a perfect second line guys. You just need to look for a player to play with those guys now. But their defense too is just. I really like their defensive core. Where you have Zub, Shabbat, and Sanderson. I really do like those guys all together there. So it's not all doom and gloom here for Ottawa. They still are in the same position they're in. They are going to be fine, I think, with the Eklund deal. And in fact, my prediction for this whole thing is I think Eklund turns into way better of a player, impactful for Ottawa than Brady ever would have been. That's where I think Ottawa's going to be.
I think they're also just on the D side there, quick Dante, but I think they're also banking on the Carter Yakimchuk taking that step next year. I think Guy put up close to 40 points in the AHL last year on that Belleville team. He should be bottom pair, potentially top 4D by the end of the year, I think. Maybe he can kind of take that step as well. So
yeah, I think Ottawa ultimately, all in all, with your captain and someone who's looked at as, still one of a better player in the NHL, taking his bag, packing it up, and going home to live with his brother. I think they did a good job of not taking a step backwards, and if anything, kind of staying even with where they were last year, maybe even a little bit ahead at this point, to be honest.
Agreed. All right, just to wrap this all up here, what we're going to do for every single Canadian team is we're going to give them a grade. It's going to just be one grade, like A, B, or C, whatever, based on their current status and what they've done, and one based on what they could be, their future kind of thing. So, Donnie, let's start with you. What do you want to give these guys as a grade? Try to put our Hab fan bias to the side, because Toronto I just give 2 Fs to in the future, but we'll try to be fair to Ottawa.
I will give them. I'll give them a B for grade currently, and I'll also give them a B for future. I was close to a C+ for future, just in terms of growth that we think some of these players can grow into. I think they're a good team. I think they're going to fight for a playoff spot next year. Like Jordan said, I don't think the loss of Brady and replacing him with William Eklund will be a net negative for this team. I think they'll be very close to what they were last year, but I don't really see that huge, large piece added to this group that's going to put them over the top in terms of large improvement moving forward either. I think they have big questions in goaltending. Yep. They have some questions with some injured players, injury riddle players. I think B is just an appropriate grade for them.
Jordan?
Yeah, I kind of have them at a B+ right now for what they've done, the steps that they've taken this offseason to kind of, retool a little bit here and kind of stay relevant. I don't see them really making that add or taking that step forward that really makes them a cup contender to me. Probably just, fighting for that wild card spot like they have the last couple of years. And for future grade, I have a B-. I just don't see a lot of promise coming up through their system. If they can make moves like they have this year and kind of move stuff around and set themselves up continuously in the future, then they could be okay. But there's not a lot coming up through their system that gives me a lot of promise with where they're going to go and continue to build and become that cup contending team.
No, I agree. My grades, honestly, for the current is going to be an A. I'm giving them an A just based on the fact that Steos didn't just sit there and pout that Brady was leaving his team and be satisfied with draft picks and satisfied with taking that massive step back for his team. So I'm going to give him an A for going out there and getting Eklund, just being aggressive, not sitting on his ass like some GMs would have in this situation. And then, but the future grade, I am going to give a B- as well. I do agree with both you guys and what you guys were saying about how their cap still, to me, just doesn't scream Stanley Cup contender as of yet. They have massive questions, massive holes still. But good on them for taking advantage of the situation they're in. Before we wrap up for final thoughts, we're just going to talk about one massive thing that kind of shook the whole league here. Leo Carlsson's offer sheet. Daniel Briere swinging his big balls around on everyone's face here, and not only just kind of screwing Anaheim in their situation that they're going to be in now, but honestly, kind of fucking screwing the league too with what this means going forward for all these other players going around. So let's start with Donnie here. Let's get your thoughts on it.
I think we're seeing offer sheets used for what they were originally intended to be used. A team trying to go out there and get a real franchise player from another team in a predatory way. $18 million. I think we can all identify that Leo Carlsson is not worth that currently. Not to say he won't be in the future with the cap going up and the player he'll project to be, but teams, Pat Verbeek, general manager, Anaheim Ducks, he's been out in the press talking about how he'll no problem matching any offer sheet that gets thrown his way, playing hardball with some of his star players. It was reported that Leo Carlsson apparently received the offer sheet, hadn't signed it yet, went to Pat Verbeek, said, I want $15 million. Pat Verbeek said, no, here's 12. Leo Carlsson said, kick rocks, and then signed the offer sheet the next day. So when you're a GM and you don't have your star players as the number one priority in terms of locking them down and getting them locked into contracts, which Dante, we could talk about Kent Hughes all day for what the business he's doing with their core players. You get issues like this. And I've been going back and forth on Pat Verbeek, what he should be doing. You get 4 first-round picks back if he wouldn't have matched. But at the end of the day, you can't lose that bona fide number one projected center, your core piece for your entire organization, regardless of the return, in my opinion. Those first-round picks would be mid to late firsts. You can try to flip some of them to get a similar player that would have maybe filled the hole for now. But at the end of the day, Pat Verbeek played with fire, didn't take care of his business, and ended up paying almost 150% of probably what he should have. A Leo Carlsson contract. So I personally love this for the league, and I really hope more teams did this. I was kind of hoping Philly would go and fire another one off to a Chicago or a Columbus right away. But yeah, like more animosity between teams. I don't think you can go wrong if you're the NHL with where this is going, if we see more.
Yeah.
Jordan? Yeah, I think ultimately we've seen a couple offer sheets this offseason. I think we kind of touched on it earlier. It's a very weak free agency class. So I think that kind of helped with the offer sheets coming out. And also there was, the big jump in cap, and it sounds like there's going to be another couple big jumps in cap over the next few years. So I think that's kind of why people are comfortable throwing this money at a Leo Carlsson. Yeah, he's not worth 18. I think that's pretty steep. We can all agree on that. He's probably closer to a $13-14 million player on a good team that really, is able to control their cap. But this is why you get these deals done early. This is why you take care of your players and have good open conversations with them. There's reports that Verbeek doesn't even talk to their players on contracts until it's like almost at the close, and he just has his assistant GM go back and forth a bunch of times with them, which is a horrible way to do business. I don't even know why you're a GM at that point.
It's just that's just awful. That's literally awful.
And for him to come out and be like, "Hey, I'm a big dog. Anyone offer sheets my guy, I'm going to match it," is just asking someone to call your bluff.
Yeah.
So as soon as Philly heard that, they're like, "Okay, match 18 then," right? Like, why would you not? Yeah. And then he doesn't have an option. Donnie, you're like, oh, well, like, should he match? Should he not? He put himself in a spot where he doesn't have an option. Because if he doesn't match it, then everyone's like, okay, well, he's a liar. Like anything he comes out and says, you can hold no weight to it. So then you don't want to do deals with him. It cuts his legs out from him. And even if you like give up the player, what are you going to flip those first for? Dylan Larkin?
Yeah.
Like 2 firsts over for Dylan Larkin? That's not nearly what
it's not the same player at all.
We're going to be.
Honestly, this whole situation.
He put himself in a lose-lose.
This whole situation reminds me a lot of what Edmonton did last year, where Edmonton, they do their work backwards. They should have their list of to-do lists, and it's like they're reading from the bottom to the top of what they should be doing. Like Edmonton last year, they went out, they signed Adam Henrique. I think they signed Jeff Skinner. They got these big ticket free agent guys, higher salary caps, immediately got 2 offer sheets from St. Louis for Broberg and Holloway. Lost both of them because they had no money left. Yep. And they go to St. Louis and have good years. This year, Pat Verbeek goes and signs AJ Greer to a 4x4.5 or whatever he signed. Acquired him in a trade.
It's insane, actually.
Signed a few more free agents. The Leo Carlson offer sheet comes in. Pat Verbeek probably shits himself. I think he just completely got scared shitless by all of this. We saw the Pavel Mintyukov contract go out, getting $7.125 million. And everyone was saying prior to that Leo Carlson offer sheet, Mintyukov was at about a 3x3.5.
Well, and there was rumors that he was going to get offer sheeted too, right? So he had to, right?
Yes. So Pat Verbeek, learn from this man.
Ultimate fumble.
Do better and prioritize the players on your team now. Sign your key players up, build your core, and then build around them with what's left. Don't do that.
But honestly, if your player's on the team, if I'm on that team right now as a young player looking to sign, I'm telling him to go fuck himself anyway.
What does Cutter Gauthier say right now?
Cutter Gauthier right now saying,
$15 million.
Good luck, brother. I want 15 mil, or else guess what? I'm signing an offer sheet too.
And then
Verbeek, in my opinion, fucked himself so bad with this trying to be all macho man, like Jordan said, he doesn't even talk to his players. Meanwhile, you have I'm just going to use Montreal as an example. Meanwhile, you have Kent Hughes, who's actually calling his players before he makes draft picks. Never mind signing guys.
He's asking if they're awake.
Are you awake? You know what I mean? The guys are asking you guys about draft pick. Meanwhile, Verbeek is just like, fuck you. I don't need any of you guys. I'm going to do what I want, and he's fucked himself. I think the Anaheim Ducks now are in a really shitty position going in the future. A team that we all predicted in our playoff podcast wrap up there, saying that we saw Anaheim being a team going on the rise. I don't think they are anymore. I think this contract situation halts their progression going forward. I think they're going to lose players because you got to sign Cutter still. I think this completely fucks Anaheim over in every way whatsoever. Yeah. And if you look around the league, if my name is Connor Bedard or even McDavid next year and stuff like that, like McDavid goes to free agency, let's just say, or resigns with Edmonton, and you have Leo fucking Carlson making $18 million a year, what is Connor McDavid going to ask for? You know what I mean?
That's the other ripple effect to it, right? And you got Celebrini that's going to be coming up here right away. You got Bedard that's up right now. What are these guys going to look for? Are they going to take that team-friendly deal and hope that your team can build around you? Or are they going to say, that guy's making 18, right? Yeah. Celebrini's going, that guy's making 18. I'm better than him. Yeah. So you can pay me 19. Thanks, right?
Meanwhile, Montreal has a 50 goal scorer and 100-point centerman locked up for less.
I think Demidov and Hudson make Leo Carlson combined money.
It's insane. But
this offer sheet as a whole, it completely has reset the market in the NHL. Like we're talking about, we have some big name tickets, and I think San Jose. I think they go to Macklin Celebrini. The strategy that I would go in would be you're very clearly worth that. What is it? 25 or 30% is the maximum that a player.
Yeah, 20% of the cap.
20% of the cap, which I think next year that goes up to 22 million.
20.
I think San Jose goes to him and says, "We are aware you are fully worth this, and if you want this, here you go, blank check, get the max. But if you take less, we will add more pieces. We will around win. You." Yeah. And that's the approach you need to have as a general manager.
Right? If I'm San Jose, sorry, Johnny. If I'm San Jose, I'm saying, look at Montreal.
Yeah. Not this hardball bullshit of, I want 15 million, no, screw you, here's 12. Go to the media, say, I'll match any offer sheet. It's just not the right approach. Keep it in-house, communicate effectively, and do your job.
If I'm San Jose, I'm saying, listen, Celebrini, look at what Montreal's doing. You want to be able to compete like these guys are going to be able to do for the next 7 years. We're doing the exact same thing. Take a little bit less off your fucking top dollar here, and we'll figure it out. But that's the other thing too. Me and Jordan, we're talking about this before we started. If you start looking at the structure of these contracts, these players are going to be signing. It's going to be heavy signing bonus. With the new rules stating that they only pay the tax based on where their primary residence is in, you're going to have a lot of teams now trying to convince players just to be signing bonuses, which players will not say no to that. If their primary residence is in a lower state, in a lower state tax, money up front, they're not going to say no to that. Just don't be like John Tavares and get in trouble with the CRA here in Canada because his entire contract earnings were in some other country state, basically. But you're going to see a lot of teams start doing that too, I think. And I think now that you're able to do that kind of stuff, it might start to offset all these teams that have zero state taxes a little bit as well. But this offer sheet kind of really threw a wrench into the league. It's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. I think when we see Celebrini sign what he's going to sign, it's going to be kind of the indication of what these players' mentality is going to be. Is it, I need to take some money here just to play in a competitive team, or fuck that, I'm taking a $20 million payday, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think he can sign till next July
season, next July 1st, yeah. But Bedard can sign right now, can you not? Or is he next? Yeah. Bedard can sign right now. You still have Fantilli, who's a free agent, or RFA, correct me if I'm wrong. And, I mean, Donnie, you bring up, if you don't mind, quickly, just the stats of Fantilli compared to Leo Carlsson. Obviously, they're two very different players. I love Fantilli and the style of hockey he plays. If Leo Carlsson's making $18 million, what does that make Fantilli worth now? 12, 13 a year? Like, I don't know how far off their stats are, but Leo Carlsson obviously has better defensive style than Fantilli does as well,
Leo
right?
Carlsson's almost like potential ceiling is like a Barkov for me.
Yeah.
Like he could become that big-bodied two-way center. I think Leo Carlsson's more creative offensively than Barkov is. You see some of the plays he makes and like the stick work and everything. So maybe like a higher offense Barkov light at his peak. Adam Fantilli's a little bit smaller, but similar sized. Fantilli had 59 points last year, so just short of 60 on a very mediocre Columbus team. Werenski obviously led that team in points. Marchenko had 67, but Fantilli was third. And then Leo Carlsson had 67 this year. So Carlsson,
it's not too far off.
They're both the same age, right? Second and third in the same draft. And pretty comparable. Like if I'm Fantilli, I'm asking for north of 14, 13, 14 at this point.
Which is crazy because I think of Fantilli, like I don't want to pay him more
9.
And normally
I'm at 9 for him. Like I wouldn't want to pay him more than 9.
If you're a general manager, you want at least 1 year of these guys really exploding and showing progression towards that ceiling. And even that Leo Carlsson, like 18 million, you're paying him for the player that you're hoping he becomes at the end of that contract. At the end of that 5 years, right?
You don't see him at that for a couple of years.
That's not good business in any kind of sport like this. So.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong. So, I mean, Don, you might know, just one last thought here. He was an RFA that accepted an offer sheet, correct?
Yeah.
But he will not be an RFA when this offer sheet expires. Is he a free
UFA.
agent? He's a UFA. Okay.
I was going to say,
imagine if he was still an RFA and then your qualifying offer on this player, if he sucks, is $18 fucking million.
Yeah, and apparently he got 4 offer sheets offered to him.
I'd love to know who the other ones are.
I'd be very curious. I kind of hope Elliot Friedman breaks it someday. But my guess is Philly was just a top dollar value, and he just went with that because I don't.
I agree.
Philly's in a point where, right?
I honestly think Leo Carlsson just looked at it as, he's going to match whatever I want, so I'm going to accept the most money here, and he's going to match it, and I'm going to stay in Anaheim.
I'm fully convinced. I'm fully convinced Pat Verbeek wanted to not match and take the picks, and the owners of the Anaheim Ducks said, "Screw you," and stepped in and said, "You're matching." That's
or he just didn't want to be a bitch. You know what I mean? Everyone, imagine you go to the GM meetings and you just sit in like the cuck chair in the corner because you were acting all tough, and now you just sit there because you didn't match the. Yeah, you took 4 draft picks for it. But all right, let's wrap things up, boys. Final thoughts. Anything else, Jordan? Let's start with you.
Not anything hockey related, but I think Holland is the closest soccer player to being able to play hockey with how he plays and just runs people over and strong, doesn't dive, which we've been seeing a lot in this World Cup. So for that reason, let's go Norway.
I agree with you. Although I think he's also the closest to a giraffe with that neck as well. But
which is completely okay too. It's kind of funny to watch.
I'm pretty sure he can actually play hockey too. I've seen clips of it.
I mean, they're professional athletes. A lot of those guys could do multi-sports.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Donnie?
just tagging off that, I guess, like we've been watching a lot of the World Cup soccer. Our group chat's been blowing up every day. More you two when you're slacking at work and me at work actually working and catching up later. But been some pretty unbelievable soccer games that we've watched. Today was Spain and Belgium there. It's a pretty good game. Spain coming out on top.
Unreal.
Yamal.
Very exciting tournament and very fun to watch as a regular non-soccer fan over here.
Yeah, I like this tournament. It gets me into soccer because I'm not going to watch, the Bundesliga or EPL or anything like that. So it just gives me my little fix of soccer.
Yeah, I do watch a little.
4 years.
Yeah, I do watch a little more. It's the Italian, the Italian side of it, and the Juventus being my team. But I do love seeing everyone come together to watch the World Cup. It's awesome. The only thing that annoyed the living hell out of me this year was, honestly, I love us, Canada, but we were fucking annoying, thinking that our team was just the best thing to God's gift of soccer after they won their first bloody game in forever. I still love it.
Just quickly on that, on the radio this morning, they announced that Morocco lost to France, and the broadcaster legitimately said Canada probably would have had a chance to beat them.
Canada would have got absolutely destroyed 10-0. Like, it would have been an absolute massacre. Like, I heard the same thing, Jordan, you're talking about. They're like, oh, yeah, Canada would have put up a better fight. I'm like, no offense, guys. Morocco kind of manhandled us for most of that game. We had good 15, 30 minutes of soccer there, but after that, we were god-awful. They completely outclassed us in the second half. If you put Canada against France,
it's not even close.
It's not even a question.
It's funny how many people come out that don't really know anything about soccer and make comments how they think they know.
Like I said, though, I love the support and I love the enthusiasm over it. This has been a really great World Cup to watch. Maybe we can do a little side thing, maybe next podcast on it. I do have some complaints about the World Cup this year with just how many teams are in it and stuff like that. Well, the diving has gone a little, like, it's gone from, like, for those of you guys don't watch soccer quickly here, diving has gone from being strategic at a certain place, a certain time to win a certain possession, or to stop the other team's buildup of a play, or to stop momentum. And now it's just turned into fucking complete garbage.
Dante, there was 4 times today that I counted Belgian players just fell down without anyone touching them and got the foul.
Yep. It was brutal. They were brutal today.
They should honestly card the super excessive dives in the league.
Yeah.
If you're a ref and you see a dive with your naked eye and you think that was flamboyant or excessive or over the top trying to draw a call, throw a yellow card.
It's like embellishment in hockey, though. They never just call embellishment. They call the other penalty, too. It's like, well, did he fake it and embellish it, or was it a penalty? Right? I don't know.
Nope, I agree 100%. So yeah, maybe we'll touch about that maybe next podcast. So yeah, I think I haven't decided fully yet what we're doing. It's probably going to be a Vancouver-Edmonton one. We're going to save our 2 favorite teams, Calgary and Montreal, for the end, and then we're all from Winnipeg, so we'll toss them in there. And then, you guys thought at the beginning of this, oh yeah, fuck Toronto. I'm not even going to talk about those losers. You guys all thought Donnie was unhinged at the beginning here, calling Brady a pussy. Just wait till I fucking start talking about the Winnipeg Jets and that fucking idiot Cheveldayoff. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. If you're ready to look forward to those ones, make sure you scan that QR code there. It'll take you to all my socials. And it also has, I believe it has the links for the podcast too on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thanks you boys for joining me once again, and look forward to it next time.
Peace.